Welcome back, and now to an issue that very many of us are actually sometimes, a bit skeptical of, a bit scared to do if we are not compliant, but it's something that has to be done to make sure that the coffers of the country's fiscus are kept afloat. So the South African Revenue Service, SARS, yesterday issued a statement informing the nation of some of the initiatives that they will be embarking on as they ready themselves for the tax season. Now, the goal is to refine their strategy in order to deliver more efficient and improved service to taxpayers. And Mark Kingon, the acting SARS Commissioner, is joining us live now. Mark, good morning, and thank you so much for speaking to us here on Morning Live.
Good morning, Sakina, and to your viewers. Good morning.
So, Mark, let's just start, with the very important issue. We are about to get into tax season. So what are your expectations for this season as compared to last season, taking into account some of the difficulties you may have noted?
Well, I think some of the difficulties is that we are seeing long queues in some of our branches. People coming unnecessarily to our branches is one of the challenges that we do have. And we also have a period really in October of last year where we see a lull. So we see a lot of people coming in July. And thereafter, there's another peak as we get towards the end of November. We need to deal with that lull in October, and hence we have moved the filing season forward to the end of October from this year. So we've moved the filing season earlier, but we do believe it will help taxpayers and to be far more effective.
Just how exactly is this meant to help taxpayers?
Well, essentially, it will allow us to deal with the high volumes prior to the December break. So that's the important thing for us. What we find is in December, if the filing season ends at the end of November, then the filing season runs right into December when people are away, they don't get the correspondence, they don't respond on time, and there are challenges in that regard.
And Mark, last year we saw a very high number of complaints, from people who felt that they did not receive their refunds timeously. And this coming against a backdrop of a SARS that was paying money to companies and entities and families like the Guptas. And people felt that they were shortchanged. They were meant to wait for their monies while you were dealing with the hoi polloi of the country.
We are very keenly aware that we need to serve our clients far more effectively. You are aware that the Tax Ombudsman brought out a report. There are 12 findings. We believe that we've put in place certain steps to deal with those findings. And very importantly this year, we are putting in place certain other steps to ensure that refunds flow in a better fashion. For instance, one of the Ombudsman's findings was when a return is submitted and a previous year's return an audit is concluded, we would hold back the refund pending the closure of the audit for the current year. We have put in place steps to ensure that that is dealt with properly. And then very importantly, in the past years, we have found very high volumes of returns being submitted for previous periods. And what we've decided this year is to ensure that people who are compliant and are submitting this year's returns will be dealt with in a proper fashion first, and we'll then deal with the returns for the older periods which are being submitted late by taxpayers.
Have you been able to determine why it is that people actually, retrospectively try to go back to previous year's returns?
Sakina, obviously we want to encourage compliance, and that is something that we take very seriously, and we want people to submit previous years. The challenge that we have is people are submitting previous year's returns when they're below the filing threshold of 350,000 Rand. And we find a lot of abuse in that sector where people are submitting previous year's returns simply to try and get a refund by claiming incorrect claims for tax deductions, etc. And obviously we need to watch those refunds far more closely to ensure there is no misrepresentation of the facts. But we do want to encourage compliance. But very importantly, Sakina, I think this is one of the challenges that we've got, is around 1 million people, or it's in excess of 1 million people, are filing returns that need not come to our SARS branches. And we really want to encourage people who are in this category of below 350,000, where they have no additional tax deductions they wish to claim, they've got no other income, they've got a single employer for the year, they need not file. And as I said, we've got some ideas up our sleeve to deal with this in future. We are running a pilot this year. It's in the background, where we hope to, in the next year or so, to be able to auto-assess these people and send them an assessment without them having to submit a return. And we believe in so doing will fundamentally change the tax landscape for individuals.
A bit of a double-edged sword there, because in the one instance you have people who should not be submitting returns submitting them, and on the other hand you think, well, it's probably a good thing that people are compliant. But of course we'll continue this conversation with Mark Kingon, and he is the acting SARS Commissioner, after the news at 7.